All right, let's do this properly. Opposites attract. It's one of those phrases people throw around like it's romantic, harmless, even comforting. But in Doctor Who, opposites don't just attract, they expose, they strip you bare. They show you the version of yourself you're terrified of becoming. And this is something I keep coming back to because the show itself keeps circling it without ever fully committing. Last week, we looked at the Doctor's most dangerous villains yet to return. The ones that could introduce real moral weight, real consequences, real stakes. But today I want to flip that lens slightly because even when Doctor Who does use its major villains, it often forgets what they're actually there for. They aren't just monsters, they aren't just obstacles, they are reflections. Every major villain in Doctor Who represents a road the Doctor could have taken, and sometimes nearly did. The best stories aren't about stopping an invasion, they're about stopping the Doctor from becoming something unrecognizable. Welcome to the Snake Pit, where we are full of bile and venom. I'm your host, Snake Daemon, and today we're digging into one of the most fundamental ideas Doctor Who was built on but increasingly forgets. The Doctor's greatest enemies are mirrors of his own personality. This isn't about monster rankings, this isn't nostalgia for rubber suits, this is about psychology, morality, and the constant war the Doctor fights with himself. So let's start with the most obvious reflection of all. The Daleks, they're not scary just because they shout exterminate. They're terrifying because they show us what happens when purpose turns into purity, and when morality gets swapped out for absolute certainty. Honestly, they're the Doctor's wrath, boiled down to a single chilling idea: the universe would be better if everyone else was gone. Created with every emotion stripped away except hate, the Daleks are, the end point of a worldview that simply won't tolerate any compromise. Their obsession with racial purity, their belief in their own superiority, and their, genocidal logic, these aren't subtle metaphors at all. They are fascism weaponized, a final solution wrapped up in a tank with a plunger. And here's the uncomfortable truth: the Doctor understands them. During the Time War, the Doctor came dangerously close to becoming exactly this, deciding who deserved to exist, who didn't, and whether annihilation was acceptable if it meant ending suffering. That's why the Doctor reacts to Daleks with such raw, barely contained rage. They aren't just enemies, they are evidence. When a Dalek tells the Doctor he would make a good Dalek, it isn't, really an insult, it's a confession. It's the Daleks recognizing something, horrifyingly familiar. The same intelligence, the same absolutism, the same willingness to destroy everything if pushed far enough. The Daleks aren't the Doctor's opposite, they're what he looks like, without mercy. If the Daleks are the Doctor's hatred, the Cybermen are his temptation, the temptation to stop feeling. The Cybermen aren't born from evil, they're born from fear. Fear of death, fear of pain, fear of loss. And their solution is, seductively logical. Remove emotion, remove individuality, remove suffering, upgrade the flesh. So, this is the road the Doctor could take every time he loses someone, Every time he watches companions age, die, or get, torn apart by the universe. The Cybermen, they represent this seductive lie that emotions are a weakness, that empathy is inefficient, that survival is all that matters. And let's not pretend the Doctor hasn't brushed against this mindset. I mean, he's hyper-intelligent, he calculates outcomes, he sees probabilities. Without emotion, honestly, he would be unstoppable. But he refuses that path because the Doctor understands the truth the Cybermen refuse to see. Life without emotion isn't survival. It's stagnation. The Cybermen exist forever, but they never live. No joy, no curiosity, no wonder. They are immortality without meaning. And that honestly terrifies the Doctor far more than death ever could. Then there's the Master, the closest mirror of all. Same species, same brilliance, same wanderlust. So the difference? The Doctor chose restraint. The Master chose indulgence. The Master is what happens when intelligence is paired with ego and boredom instead of, empathy. A Time Lord who looked at the universe and decided it existed for his amusement. Every elaborate plan, every needless cruelty, every sadistic game is rooted in the same belief. I am smarter than everyone else, therefore I deserve to rule. And what makes this dynamic so potent is, well, history. These two weren't enemies by default. They were friends, equals, students under the same sky, which means every time the Master falls further, it forces the Doctor to confront an impossible question. If circumstances had shifted slightly, would that have been me? The Master constantly tries to push the Doctor into breaking his own code, not just to win, but to prove a point, that morality is a lie, that restraint is weakness, and that power is all that matters. He isn't trying to defeat the Doctor, he's trying to corrupt him. We've seen this on many occasions in Colony in Space, for one example, because if the Doctor ever does cross that line, then the Master is right. So here's the thread tying all of this together. Doctor Who's greatest villains aren't really threats to the universe, they're threats to the Doctor's identity. The Daleks ask, when does righteous anger become genocide? The Cybermen ask, is survival worth the cost of being human? And well, the Master asks, is morality just ego pretending to be virtue? This is where the show is at its absolute strongest, when the monster isn't the real danger, but, the reflection they force the Doctor to confront. And yet too often, modern stories reduce these figures to noise, catchphrases, spectacle, recycling without introspection. They forget that these villains exist to challenge who the Doctor is, not just what he can punch, run from, or outsmart in 45 minutes. Doctor Who isn't at its best when it's loud, it's at its best when it's, uncomfortable. When villains expose the Doctor's darker possibilities, things get complicated. When victories come at a moral cost, you have to wonder, what's really being won? And sometimes the question isn't can he stop them, but honestly, what will it cost him if he does? The reflections matter, because without them, the Doctor stops being a character and just becomes a mascot. And believe it or not, that's far more dangerous than any Dalek invasion. Villains aren't just enemies, they're warnings. They're alternate timelines with teeth, if you like. Doctor Who has always been about choosing compassion over certainty, empathy over efficiency, restraint over domination. Forget that. And all you're left with is noise. Thanks for dropping by the Snake Pit, where we thrive on untapped potential and lost opportunities. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell, like the video, and leave your opinion in the comments, where naturally I won't read them. Until next time, stay venomous.